Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah. Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Internal Magic Podcast. I appreciate you guys for tapping in today with me. You know, I hope you guys been doing the internal work. I hope you guys been meditating. I hope you guys been doing your shadow work. I hope you guys been, just being the observer in life. Man, what do we have on the altar today? What do you have on your altar? Put it in the comments, right? So, right now, I have the orange candle burning. I got the incense popping. Gotta add that air element to that altar. So I have the orange candle on my altar. Let's see what I'm using it for, right? Let's see. The orange candle is commonly associated with creativity, life force, movement, and emotional release. Hmm. Man, don't we got an eclipse today? That happened on accident. The sacral center, desire, feeling, imagination, and the unconscious. Courage to explore unfamiliar inner territory, transforming stagnant energy into expression. You know, so that's what I'm working on right now. So, what color candle do you have on your altar? Interesting. Well, put it in the comments. Let me know. Got the incense popping, got that prosperity incense flowing around in the room. So today we are going to talk about discernment. I know I see everybody online talking about it. Everybody online, but we're going to talk about it according to the internal magic way. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, you need to start somewhere. You need to start from the beginning. There's a lot of people that's new in this walk. There's a lot of people that are young in this walk. And let me tell you something. We're not fixing to start shooting. This ain't no 0 to 60. That's some Drake shit. It ain't no 0 to 60 in spirituality. You got to take your time and do the work. And how in the world do you think you're going to figure out and know which way to go? Which is the lesson for today, discernment. Do you have it? I don't know, man. You know, so with that being said, the lesson today is discernment. Is it intuition, fear, ego, or programming? Now that you're listening, right? Who are you hearing? Because last time we talked about the battle between the conscious and the subconscious mind as we begin to move through this newer frequency. We explored the conscious mind as a part of us heavily trained to navigate physical reality. It looks for evidence. You ain't got no proof. You don't believe it. it looks it looks at circumstances. It analyzes what is happening around you. And we explore the subconscious as a doorway into the deeper internal and spiritual world. the realm where we encounter dreams, symbols, imaginations, emotional information, intuitive impressions, and the unseen dimensions of ourselves. Ourselves, not somewhere else. Because I swear they'll tell you them dimensions is somewhere else. Ooh, it's right there. No, it's in you. Don't worry. I know you know, but we talking about them over there. You know what I'm saying? We talked about what happens when those two systems begin pulling in different directions, but that creates another problem because once I told you, start listening within. That's the number one. The next question should be immediately listening to what? Listening to what? Because everything inside of you is not intuition. Everything is not guidance. Every thought is not a message. Every dream is not prophecy. Y'all swear, y'all, oh man, I was in the astro world. No, you wasn't. You wasn't in the astro world. Oh, I was at the Akasha Records. No, you wasn't. Them Akasha Records is inside of you. You're not walking in a library, a huge library with a million books in it. Boy, I'm telling you, I know you know we talking about them over there, right? Every feeling is not guidance. Every thought is not a message. Every dream is not prophecy. Every uncomfortable feeling does not mean something is spiritually wrong. Because that's what y'all be thinking. Oh man, I'm going off. No, no, no. You're on track. Don't worry. Don't worry. You are on track. If you listening to the Internal Magic podcast, you definitely on track. Trust me. And every soul desire does not mean your soul is directing you toward it. Like I told you, shit, I thought I was a liar until I had a major breakthrough that told me something completely different. That was spiritual ego. You know, that wasn't, I guess, you know, that was just my own personal, what I personally want. Hell, I like lions. I just thought it was just, you know what I'm saying? Something, I'm just tapping into it. But no, that's not the way it works. As you begin to do the internal work, it will be shown to you if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to go that far as well, you know, because it doesn't mean just because something, you know, your soul desires something does not mean, you know, your soul is directing you towards it. So this is where discernment becomes essential because your internal world contains many voices. Fear has a voice, ego has a voice, conditioning has a voice, desire has a voice, trauma and past experience can have voices. Your conscious mind has a voice. Your subconscious has a voice. And within the spiritual framework we're developing through internal magic, intuition has a voice as well. So the question isn't simply, can you hear yourself? The question is, can you recognize who is speaking? That is discernment. The internal world is a crowded room. Imagine walking into a room where 10 people are talking at the same time. One person is afraid, one person is angry, one person wants attention, one person remembers what happened 10 years ago, one person wants immediate gratification, one person is repeating something your mother told you when you were 8, another is repeating something society taught you, another one wants to protect your identity. And somewhere inside that room is a quiet voice saying, this way. Which one do you follow? That's the internal world. Because if you're listening to fear, I don't care how much knowledge you got, you're going to go the wrong way. You're going to make the wrong or the bad decision. And this is and this is why simply telling people to trust their intuition isn't enough. You first have to learn yourself. This is what I've been telling you. This is the internal way. You got to learn yourself. You know what I'm saying? This connects directly to, you know, the law of authority. Within the internal magic framework, spiritual authority begins with knowledge, begins with knowing who you are. Because if you don't know yourself, you cannot easily distinguish yourself from your programming. You can you can mistake fear for intuition. You can mistake ego for divine guidance. You can mistake desire for alignment. You can mistake familiarity for resonance. And you can mistake avoidance for peace. Oh, I don't want to be around nobody. I got to be by myself. Boy, check that spiritual ego. It's going to let you know, them shadows going to show every time. Because, that's dangerous. So before we develop intuition, we have to develop self knowledge. All right. So for this lesson, we're going to simplify the internal conversation into four major voices: intuition, fear, ego, and programming. They can overlap, but learning their characteristics gives us somewhere to begin. We got to do this work. I know you vibrating high. I really do. I know you got 50,000 followers on Instagram. I know. But that ain't going to help. Man, we're going to have to start getting it together. So, voice one, fear. Fear is usually concerned with protection. A question is, what could go wrong? That's what fear say. What's something gonna go wrong? Woo, I better not go out the country. They're gonna try to unalive you. They're gonna try to scopolamine you. They're gonna try to kidnap you. That's what fear says. Fear looks toward the future and generates possibilities. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if she rejects me? What if I lose everything? What if people laugh? Dang, you concerned about that? Mm-mm. What if I'm making a mistake? Trust yourself. That's the problem. A lot of people just do not trust themselves. You operating from that's ego making them decisions. That ain't the true self. That's programming making those decisions. Programming is, causing those reactions. You react the same way everybody on social media reacts. Why? Don't you got your own mind? That's that fear, man. We're going to have to work on it. You know what I'm saying? What if I leave and regret it? You better leave. What if I stay and I regret it? Fear can create 10 futures before breakfast. And because fear is trying to protect you, it often wants certainty before movement. But life rarely gives certainty. So fear can create paralysis. Now, here's where things get interesting, right? Fear can Fear can disguise itself as intuition. You might say, something told me not to do that, or maybe, but investigate, was it intuition or were you afraid? Don't judge yourself, investigate yourself. You 007, you know what I'm saying? You fly, got the suit on, you know what I'm saying? Got the nice little, you know what I'm saying? Hair all right, smelling good. 007 was the man. Whatever he investigated, I know it's a lot of explosions and shootings and stuff, but he always got to the bottom. He always figured everything out. You know what I'm saying? You may say, something told me not to do that. I know y'all have had that before, right? So remember, don't judge yourself. Internal magic requires curiosity about your own consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So voice number two, the ego. When I say ego here, I'm not saying ego is evil, because that's what a lot of y'all think. Oh, we gotta, destroy the ego. We gotta no. The ego helps maintain a functional sense of identity, but ego is heavily invested in the story. This is who I am. So when transformation threatens that identity, ego can resist at all costs. Imagine you've always been the person everybody comes to for help. Now your internal world says you need boundaries. Your ego may respond, but if I stop helping everybody, who am I? A lot of y'all got that. Ladies, y'all got that one bad. Or maybe you've always been known as successful. Your soul begins pulling you towards something completely different. Ego asks, what will people think? Ego is often deeply concerned with identity, comparison, recognition, status, being right. You right about everything? Damn. And how and how you are perceived. Ask if nobody ever knew I made this decision, would I still want to make it? Hmm. Interesting, right? That's a powerful ego test. Then you got voice number three, programming. Programming sounds like that's just how things are. Haven't you heard people say that? That gets on my nerves. Programming doesn't always feel emotional. Sometimes it feel like, you know, common sense. That's why it's difficult to recognize I could never do that. People like us don't do that. You need a real job. Haven't you guys heard this stuff? I promise you have. Don't let people project on you, because that's what they're going to do. And you look up and you just as broke as they is. Relationships always end badly. You can't trust nobody. Ooh, that's social media, ain't it? Money is hard to make. Spiritual people shouldn't care about money. Haven't you heard that too? I want some paper. Men are like this, women are like that, right? Haven't you heard that? Oh my God. If I have to hear another podcast about men versus women, I'm going to, man, I'm telling you, I can't stand those. It's like, it's always some type of battle going on. This person versus that person, this versus this. That shit gets annoying. Y'all don't even realize y'all being led by the algorithm. And because of that, that controls your decisions. Now you making decisions based off of what you've seen on social media, which is basically programming. What was that thing not too long ago where I seen some lady, some girls talking about, oh yeah, you need about what 50,000, you know what I'm saying, to date me, and I'm just like, And then now what happens is the people, that energy trickles down to the regular people, in the real world. And guess what? You trying to meet some young lady and she hit you with, you know, you need 50,000. Boy. That's the reason why the relationship loops keep happening. That's the reason why you keep being in revolving relationships. Women are like this. Woo, them niggas get on my nerves. I just can't stand men who's always women bashing. Like, bro, don't you like being around something that smell good, that nice, flowery smell, that nice feminine energy smell? Man, I love it. you know, so I'd rather have, that type of energy around me versus a whole bunch of negativity. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Or you may hear people say that's impossible. Where do those beliefs come from? Programming is often inherited. Your daddy hate women. Now you hate women. boy, y'all need to start exploring that because I'm telling you, you see the shadows behind that, you really gonna be shocked, you know. Because I always say, man, and I told somebody this not too long ago, when the thing that you hate, you better explore it. I'm telling you, that's a shadow revealing itself. You better explore it. You always talking about gay people. You better explore that. And you hate them. You better explore that. You shouldn't hate nothing because that has nothing. That's an external thing. That's outside of you. You need to be worried about you. And you worried about what was said on, on Instagram, what everybody on Instagram doing. So you holding other people, regular people, to the standards, to the impossible standards of social media. That's why you don't have no friends. That's why your family don't want to be around you, and you think that's cute. Mm, mm, mm. You know, where do these programmings come from? You know what I'm saying? Where do these beliefs come from? You know what I'm saying? These are often inherited. Family, school, religion, culture, relationships, media, painful experiences. Programming becomes dangerous when something learned begins masquerading as the truth. You think everybody is like this or everybody is like that. You got to look at people as individual. Voice 4, intuition. Now we reach the difficult one, right? Everybody like, ooh, how do we know? Within our spiritual framework, we've called intuition divine GPS. But divine GPS doesn't usually give you a philosophical lecture. It says turn left, exit here, recalculating. Intuition can feel similar, but simple but direct, right? Sometimes surprisingly neutral. Man, that's definitely happened to me for sure. You know, call them, wait, go, don't sign that yet. Ask another question, right? Take your notebook, say no, leave it alone. And then what happens? The conscious mind arrives. Why? What does that mean? Give me proof. How do you know? What happens afterwards? Intuition gave one sentence. The conscious mind creates an entire courtroom. Y'all know it do. That's why I'm telling you, we need to switch that conscious over to the subconscious as we begin to move into this new earth frequency. The freaking conscious mind just created a whole courtroom. And you know what's going on in the courtroom? A lot of voices. That difference is worth observing. But remember, but remember, a short thought isn't automatically intuition. We are learning patterns, not creating rigid rules, right? So the body can help, but the body isn't infallible. Listen to your body. People often say listen to your body. That's useful advice, but it requires nuance. That's why I say when you listen to the other high level teachers, you forget the nuance. You forget all the little stuff in between because they've been learning for 20, 30 years. You've only been learning for 16 months. And all of a sudden, you all the way up here, you know, because the body contains history too. Something healthy can make you uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. Something unhealthy can feel comfortable because it's familiar. Think about that. Comfort and alignment are not always the same thing. That's why discernment requires more than it feels good. Woo! You got to control them emotions. Sometimes growth feels uncomfortable. Sometimes boundaries feel terrible at first. Sometimes saying no creates anxiety. Sometimes speaking honestly makes your heart race. I know. Underarms get to sweating. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't automatically mean my intuition says, you know, it doesn't always mean that my intuition saying, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So just think about that. That's why discernment requires more than it just feels good. Come on now. Sometimes, you're going to be feeling uncomfortable. You know, my nervous system has never experienced me behaving this way before. That's what you'll say. So instead of simply asking, does this feel comfortable? Ask, what kind of discomfort is this? That's a deeper question. Why do you feel uncomfortable? Why do you feel comfortable? Ask both of them. You know. So the new earth problem. Oh man, the new earth problem. Now let's reconnect this to our previous lesson. Within the spiritual new earth framework we've been exploring, we're talking about shifting from an existence dominated by external authority toward greater internal awareness, intuition, resonance, and soul consciousness and spiritual discernment. But here's the danger: if you abandon external discernment before developing internal discernment, you don't become spiritually liberated. You become easily misled. That's why the conscious mind still has a purpose. Remember, the conscious mind navigates physical reality. I'm not saying abandon your consciousness. The subconscious helps us explore the internal and unseen world. The soul observes both, but we don't kill logic. We reposition it. If your intuition says start the business, beautiful. Your conscious mind can ask, what's the budget? You see how that works? What's the business model? What legal structure do I need? Who is the customer? Intuition can prove direction. Logic can help build the road. That's alignment. New Earth consciousness should not make you less capable of functioning in physical reality. It should make you more integrated while functioning within it. When you receive a strong internal message, don't immediately obey it. Run it through discernment. Like I told you, when I had my major breakthrough, I'm still running it through, you know, cycles and putting it in the dryer and putting it in the washer and then taking it out, putting it back in the dryer. I'm putting it through all these cycles to test it. That's what you got to do. Let's do like a fear test, right? Ask, is this voice showing me something or frightening me into avoiding something? Write these questions down and ask yourself, and remember these and ask yourself when you get in situation, because fear often expands. One thought becomes 20. Intuition can be much more cleaner. Fear, if you do this, you'll probably fail, lose everything, embarrass yourself. Everybody will judge you, and you'll never recover. Intuition, not yet. Notice the difference. The ego test, right? Would I still want this if nobody knew? Would you still buy it? Would you still create it? Would you still pursue it? Would you still believe it? Would you still post it? Would you still call yourself that? Remove the audience. What's left? Sometimes removing spectators reveal the soul. The program itself. Let's how do we know if you're programmed? Ask, where did I learn this? The question is powerful. I shouldn't charge that much. Where did you learn that? I have to stay because we've been together for years. Haven't you heard that? Where did you learn that? I need everybody to understand me. Where did you learn that? I can't start over at my age. Where did you learn that? You're listening to there's too many voices in the room. You need to hone in so that way the intuition can stand up in the room and direct. You know what I'm saying? There's only one director in a movie, and in your life, it's your intuition. But if you're listening to too many, you believe well, you letting your mama tell you what to do, you letting your dad tell you what to do, you letting family culture and values tell you what to do. You don't even have your own mind. You just a copy of a copy of a copy. I'm telling you, you got to lock in. But I know you guys are not doing this. It's them over there. So, you know, once again, I appreciate everybody for tapping in today of the Internal Magic Podcast. Don't forget to order your Chaos Being hats. I have them on the Etsy page, right? Have them on the Etsy page. And please go and support the channel so we can crank out more of these lessons. And put in the comment, put in the comments, what are you working on? What are, and don't be afraid. You know, listen, if you're afraid to put it, then that's the shadow revealing itself. I'm not saying, put something ultra personal on there. I'm just talking about, your everyday issues, problems. If you want to go there on a deeper level with it, then put it in the comments as well. But for the simple fact that you are thinking about what that is, reveals something. Because what are you thinking about right now in your mind? Oh, I be lying too much. And then, yeah, you probably lying. You probably lie too much. Oh, dang, nobody likes me. They probably don't like you. You're right. So, we got to start going internal and going in. We need to be start fixing our nervous systems. We need to be high vibrational. We're trying to get on this frequency. I need you guys meditating daily. Give me 10 minutes. I told you, just give me 10. That's it. And then once you do that, trust me, watch the breakthroughs happen. So it's your boy Spiritual Marcus, and I'm tapping and I'm signing out. I appreciate you guys showing the love on social media. You know, I love all the reposts. I'm shocked, and I'm not shocked, but I really appreciate it. But I'm shocked at the same time. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. So yeah, just keep please spreading the word, sharing the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, and you know it's time to go within because it's all spiritual.